the horn. Flashkey, Page, Spain, McMullen. It's Friday. Let's hit it like Michael Franco. Let's attack it like 100 goats running for freedom through Boise, Idaho.
Love it. Oh yeah.
It's LeBron in there.
Let's go around the horn.
Rent a goat. Great business.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
The new helmet rule. Yeah, we're going to start there. Headlines ranging from uneven to messy to NFL disaster. 4 flags for unnecessary roughness. Bennett Jackson got called for one after the game. He called this hit a perfect one. Said he feels like the refs are just harping on it more in the preseason to make people more aware. That's exactly what you said would happen yesterday, Woody Page.
Yeah,
so we'll start with you. What did you see last night with the new rule?
I thought the referee and the officials were 2 for 4, 500, that they're erring on the side of caution, that they're trying to show the players and give them, as I said yesterday, a warning that we're going to call a lot of these penalties during the preseason, and then you'll figure it out, and maybe we'll cut it back during the regular season. One of the things I figured out last night is I think we're going to see rare ejections. I believe it's going to be that a situation where we'll all know, yes, that is a total targeting. But we didn't see any targeting last night. We just saw use of the helmets. And I got to communicate from the NFL this week that they were changing the rule from using the crown of the helmet, and they took out the crown part and just say using the helmet as a target. And I just think these players have got to figure out that you got to lead with your shoulder and your arms. You can't go in with your helmet, no matter where it is on the body.
So that communique that you got from the NFL, that was more expansive then, not just leading with the crown of the helmet. Any part of your helmet, face mask, top of the helmet, side of the helmet. Bill Plaschke, how about you?
Woody, did the NFL tell anybody else this, or is this just you they communicated with? I mean, I think it's a very important rule. I think we have to give the officials time to figure it out. And they're going to throw a ton of flags during the exhibition season. Then they're going to look at it and see what was right and what was wrong. And that's all good. Again, this is much more important than a catch rule. Everybody's saying, oh, this is a catch rule all over again. No, this is much more important than that. And I love the fact that you can see now players who do put their helmets, lead with their helmets, they're going to get flagged. We can see it now clearly. They were 2 for 4, you say, Woody, but to me, they were 4 for 4. It's all good.
Okay, you say it's more important than the catch rule. Of course it is, because it's about safety here.
Yes.
But it's also potentially something you can call every single play. I mean, that's more than the catch rule, which has already affected games seemingly every other week. So, Bill, do you have a problem with maybe the frequency this could be called?
No, you know what? I think they'll settle down. They'll figure out exactly what it is. But again, too much. I'd rather err on the side of too much safety. And I think a lot of fans agree with me.
Jackie Mack, how about you?
I agree with Bill, because this is an important rule, and it's one that the NFL reluctantly is enforcing, because this, in a perfect world, if they didn't have to worry about these sort of things, they wouldn't have this rule, because people love hard hits and bodies flying. That's what made the NFL so popular, not just in this country, but all around the world. And they're going to get it wrong from time to time. Probably a lot in the beginning, Tony. But the preseason, this is the perfect time to get the officials comfortable with how they're going to call this, with the players to have a better understanding of how they're going to call it. So I think everybody just needs to hold on and just give this time to germinate and find its way.
I think when I was reading last night in the headlines, disaster, very, very messy, it wasn't just about maybe getting it wrong. That play in the end zone may have been the toughest one of the 4.
Right.
But it was also about the frequency of it. Sarah, what did you see last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as Woody said, it was sort of 50-50, which is what we expected when we first heard word over the transom that the rule was changing. When I first got the pigeon and the telegram letting me know about the rule change, we all freaked out. And so it's kind of about PR, right? You said this could be called every play. So could holding.
Yeah.
And we're kind of okay with that. But we're not okay with the catch rule because of PR. We all freaked out about what is a catch. And now we're freaking out about this. At some point, it probably will come down to, do we accept that these are subjective calls? And when the official says, in this case, it looked like it was bad, and in this case, I'm okay with it, that's the rules. And that's unfortunate, and especially when there's 15-yard penalties and lots of flags, that's going to get frustrating. But it might be just about spinning the PR to we're not as confused as we were. We just are going to make the calls as we see them.
And do you believe that's ever a space that NFL referees, NFL players, and then NFL fans can be on board with, that this won't be confusing?
They do for holding.
Yes, true, they do it for holding, but it seems like, and I said this earlier in the week, the NFL is implementing this rule for safety for the players, and the players are saying it's part of the game. The NFL is saying we need to change the game a little bit, but no one knows how that's actually going to play out. What do you Page? You want to add or something?
Well, that's the point is the NFA is experimenting here, and they're trying to get it right during the preseason so that by the regular season, and when the referee who's in town to address the Broncos today came over to my house this morning and was explaining it to me, I think that I got a better idea and concept that they know that they're not totally there yet, and they hope to be in a month.
They're not the only one that's not totally there. Jackie Mack, last word after the horn.
Yeah, and Tony, to rebut what you're saying, you have to understand the NFL has now finally learning you have to save the players from themselves because they don't understand the ramifications till it's way too late and their teammate dies of CTE or something like that.
Sure, absolutely. That's paramount. That's the most important thing. But you're hearing a player say, I had a perfect hit last night, and now the NFL is telling him it's not perfect anymore. We'll move on. Your first look at Lamar Jackson last night. Threw a touchdown, had an interception, had a couple scrambles where you saw some of the jukes he may be known for. Sarah, your takeaway, Lamar Jackson.
You know, I was hoping he would have some crazy throws, just an absolute blowout game so that some of us who were rooting for him throughout the draft process and were frustrated by talk of moving his position would have a see, look. And we didn't. 4 of 10, 1 touchdown, 1 pretty noticeably bad pick. It wasn't much. And, of course, you're going to throw out it's just the preseason. But hopefully his coaches and the guys that lined him up and gave him a certain amount of freedom or maybe not in terms of using his legs are looking at what he did and said, based on what we told you, you performed. We'll see better next time.
Jackie Mack?
You can simulate a preseason game or a regular season game in the NFL all you want, but until that quarterback gets out there on the field behind center and starts to actually see it, and it counts as much as a preseason game may count, you can't prepare Jackson for anything that's going to happen last night. So to me, this really is almost irrelevant. He got his feet wet. He made mistakes. He did some good things. He showed us he could run. We already knew that. That doesn't mean that he's a disaster, but I think it does mean this, and I think it's what we already knew. Joe Flacco starts the year as the Ravens quarterback. That's just the fact.
Yeah, I think, Jackie, you're right. I think we already knew this, but I'm like Sarah. I was really hoping to have a wow moment for him, and he didn't get that. The speed didn't seem to be equal to him. The schemes didn't seem to confuse him a little bit. He's a work in progress, and I kind of wished he wasn't, but he is.
Woody Page.
Well, it was a proving ground for him last night. His coach said, I want to see poise. I thought we saw a legitimate quarterback. I mean, he had to be nervous about it. And the throw that he makes for the interception, that's a completion in college because you don't have a quarterback that's watching his eyes and probably doing the same thing. So I think that
well, then
he
that's
showed
a
it.
problem.
I don't think that's completion in college.
That's what we're dealing with here. It's a learning curve for any rookie, and that's what you're experiencing.
Sure, and they kept him under wraps. I mean, I don't think they were opening up their offense. And when they open the season, if he gets into a game, it's going to be with Flacco. It's going to be with gadget plays, and we didn't see a lot of what he did in college that made him so exciting and made him a Heisman Trophy winner. He was just trying to learn the system, it looked like to me last night, and avoid getting sacked because that offensive line was terrible.
Well, okay. I mean, yes, of course. I mean, you're playing with second, third, fourth, fifth stringers, and you're playing against second, third, fourth, and fifth stringers. Did you have the last word, Plashke?
Yeah, I mean, Harbaugh said he just wanted him to run the offense and to not mess anything up, and he probably did a pretty good job.
And stay healthy. I think that's the goal for everybody. We'll move on. Let's talk baseball. Jackie Mack's with us. Red Sox 15, Yankees 7. I know you want to talk about this. Look at how the Yankees just butchered everything in the field with the rundown. Their pitching staff was toasted, and then it was burned. That is the part of the pitching staff that doesn't have hook and mouth disease. Yankees look like they're in the Mets League, not the Red Sox League, Joel Sherman wrote. And that may be true, and it's also true that they have the second best record in baseball right now. So, Jackie, legit panic for the Yankees or overblown because Boston is so far and away the best team in baseball?
Oh, I don't know if they're so far and away the best team in baseball, but of course it's overblown because it's Red Sox-Yankees. That's the very nature of Red Sox-Yankees. I will say that if you're a Yankees fan, you have to be frustrated by the number of bonehead plays that were made in the field, including your very prized acquisition, Zach Britton, who the Red Sox, desperately wanted. I'm not making a big deal out of this because they're in a little bit of a slump right now. You saw what they did against the Orioles, which, again, if you're a Yankees fan, you're pretty horrified. It doesn't mean anything to me. I've been down this road before with these two teams a million times.
Doesn't mean mean
Let's see
anything.
what
So the
happens
Sonny
this
Gray smiling off the mound happened this week. I mean, their record against the Orioles and the Rays this season is at 500.
Right, but they're not going to have to worry about them. They're going to have to be able to.
They're going to have to worry about the team that put up 15 runs on them.
That's right.
You want to hit pause on they're the best team in baseball, and I understand that. You're trying to lower expectation in Boston. They're at 112 win pace right now. Bill Plaschke, go ahead.
You're the only person that would
What's not overblown? What's not overblown is Bob Ryan texting me from the game every time Mookie Betts gets a hit. Bob, I get it. Mookie Betts is a great player. Okay, he's
That's
not
a lot
better
of
than Mike
text.
Trout.
He
Okay,
was,
I get that, Bob Ryan. No, but you know what? Bob Jackie's right. The season series between the two teams is 5-5. By the way, the Yankees have the best bullpen ERA in baseball. By the way, they're fifth best ERA overall in baseball. By the way, and they're only 5 games back in the loss column. They're going to get Sanchez back. They're going to get Judge back. They're going to be competitive. I agree with Jackie. I've been down this road many times before. This is far from over with.
So the Yankees are the new Mets is overblown in your mind. How about you, Woody Page?
Totally. Oh my God.
Come
Sure,
on.
Bill. But they're not going to get the 27 Yankees back, and so I don't think this squad's strong enough to catch the Red Sox. And they got to be worried about the A's. I know you're going to say, "Oh, they're way out in front of the A's," but
they are.
The
They're
A's
6 games ahead of
the
them.
A's keep coming. As a host of a national popular show said, nobody ever talks about the A's.
Yes, thank you, Woody Page.
Really
I mean, what do they have to do? They've won
They have
30
been one of the
40.
most successful teams in baseball for the last 2.5 months. This is not some spurt they're having. They're actually doing it. So, yeah, I think they should be worried because we saw a lot of lethargic players. I'm not just talking about defensive errors. I'm talking about emotional and mental errors that we saw by outfielders last night, and Brian Cashman going off about, oh, if they didn't play us, the Red Sox would have a really great record. Well, they're beating you, too.
Sarah Spain.
I think it's important to note in humans it's hand, foot, and mouth disease. So some of the Yankees
I know.
has
I
hoof
was
and
having
mouth.
a little
we
poetic
should really look
license
into that.
there.
That's,
Thank you.
That's troubling. Also, one of my favorite things in sports is when we say things like, they're only 5 games back of the Red Sox, and then we're like, oh, but the A's are so far back. It's like barely any different, right? So when they're ahead by that much, it's a huge amount.
Good call
when
out,
they're behind
Sarah.
by
That's
almost
right in your
the same
face,
amount.
Plaschke.
Right, exactly. So listen,
No, it's a big
it absolutely
difference.
depends on how they handle things going forward. Looking at them versus the Red Sox is tough because the Boston team is so good. But the Yankees are without Aaron Judge. They have struggled with starting pitching. So if they continue on this slump, we do have to consider it real. But just looking at them against Red Sox and saying they lost to the Red Sox doesn't mean they're falling apart.
Jackie, after the horn.
I'm still trying to understand how Woody got a ton points for saying the A's were really good, and I said the Red Sox
Because
weren't
he's the
running away.
first person on this television show. I brought it up and I badgered you guys for a week and a half to actually say that's why, Jackie. But
Okay,
you're
let me
trying
just
to
tell you
lower
one thing.
expectations
Here's the
on
one
the Red
thing.
Sox a little
Jonathan
bit. Red
Holter
Sox.
was 17-plus innings without giving up a hit. He
and
got
then he
killed
let
last night.
six hit. He got killed last night. Well, I mean, Yankees are throwing Severino out right now. Okay, he's been hammered the last 4 times he's been on the mound. There's 3 games remaining in this series right now. How many wins do the Yankees need to win to at least, steady the ship in the next race, Jackie? Do you want to answer that?
Methinks the host might be one of those frustrated Yankees fans.
goodness.
That's what he thinks.
Goodness.
Yes.
Okay,
Called you
they got
out,
to win
Tony.
2 of the games. 2 of the remaining 3 for you.
I asked the question. I'm just asking you a question here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The Red Sox are just so. That's just lower expectation in the Red Sox. Taking a break. Firestone net. They have 112 win pace. Where's the FaceTime on the Red Sox being the best team in baseball?
Come on up.
Around the Horn is brought to you by Dish. Tuned into you.
I'm a squeaky toy, and I've got one job, getting chomped on by this little ankle sniffer. So pardon me for feeling inept compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like while I'm getting slobbered on, Geico is creating cool technology like their mobile app, which lets people pay their bills or file a claim. Plus, Geico is the fastest growing auto insurer for the last 10 years. Is it too much for me to ask for one more feature? Fast and friendly claim service like Geico, maybe? Oh, great. I'm getting buried again.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Buy or sell.
When celebrating your Tom Brady's 41st birthday, make sure you get your ice cream avocado. How are you guys celebrating? Here's how you could celebrate by reading the new book, 12, The Inside Story of Tom Brady's Fight for Redemption. He says Roger Goodell offered Brady a deal. No suspension, $1 million fine. Blame the equipment guys for Deflategate. Brady's response, quote, "There's no way I'm going to ruin these guys for something I believe they didn't do," end quote. That's according to the book, Bill Plaschke. How's that strike you from Brady's side? How's it strike you from the NFL side?
Well, if you were to believe that, then Brady basically just took a bullet for these guys and he wasn't going to throw them under the bus. I don't quite believe it. I don't believe he didn't know. I believe this was all about himself as well, trying to protect himself. He didn't want to be involved in this in any way. He didn't want to admit anything, any part of his guilt. So I'm not so sure I'm willing to make him the white knight all of a sudden.
So you don't think there's a nobility here to not blame the other guys?
I'm not buying it.
Okay. How about you, Woody Page?
Well, I like that he didn't rat him out if the report in the book is accurate. And I always believed that when he wanted a heavier ball in Chicago, Sarah's Chicago, that those guys involved after that kept inflating it for him the rest of the year and never said anything about it. So I think he did the right thing here.
I think it's deflating, Woody. I think they called it something with
Deflategate, Woody.
Yeah.
Deflategate.
Here's deflating right here. The score's going the wrong way. Sarah Spade.
Yeah, I mean, the way this book might portray it, it certainly sounds like Brady stepped in and he was a great guy and was willing to take the hit for these guys. But I think what is most notable is throughout all of the reporting during the original Deflategate, the sticking point in any settlement between the NFLPA and the NFL was that he was not willing to admit guilt. He was not willing to even admit a slightly reasonable expectation that those guys were doing something on purpose. So in order to throw them under the bus, he likely would have had to admit that he had an idea that they were doing something. So that's why I think this didn't turn out.
Jackie Mack.
Well, I think the reason Brady didn't want to do that is because Brady, to this day, says he didn't do this. Therefore, if you follow the logic, he's going to tell you that those two guys didn't do it either. And I think it's as clear as day to me. That's all that's going on here. Brady's not going to throw somebody under the bus for something he didn't think happened, because also, let's say also, that points at him. If he said, oh, well, I had nothing to do with it, those guys did it, who's going to believe that? Certainly not Plaschke in L.A., I know that.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely
it's amazing. We've spent 3 years talking about this, which is
still
brutal.
talking about it.
And Woody
calls it
still getting it wrong. We'll move on. Buy or sell too. Whether you're buying EA Sports' explanation that they didn't mean to edit out Colin Kaepernick's name from the music on Madden. They called it a miscommunication. They say they're going to put it back. Woody, you buy that?
I think it's total bullshit. I don't believe them for a moment. They have an exclusive contract with the NFL. They didn't want to put Kaepernick's name in it last year, and they took it out. They did it again this year. Once is a mistake. Two is a trend. And the other thing is they could have chosen from 1,000 other songs that didn't have so many obscenities in them.
Sarah Spain.
God bless you, Woody. My response to that statement is, sure, Jan. Whatever you need to say to spin this, it's very clear it was omitted intentionally, and now that they're caught and they've got themselves in another big thing unnecessarily, they're going to go ahead and put his name back.
Jackie Mack.
When are they going to stop doing this to Colin Kaepernick? It's just so beyond absurd. Now, I don't know if the NFL directed this or they just did this on their own, but it's so blatantly obvious that they omitted this guy's name. And for the life of me, I still don't understand why this is continuing.
Plaschke.
As the only panelist who has his name in an actual rap song, Asher Roth, Females Welcome. My name appeared in that rap song.
Whoa.
They never called me. They never gave me my permission. They didn't need my
Bill,
permission
that is
for
so
name.
awesome.
Yeah, I think
so they don't need Kaepernick's permission to put that name in there. Therefore, they deleted it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't know. I'm not even following your logic here. I think you just wanted to name drop that you were in the Asher
Yeah, but come on, he got to get points for that.
No,
That's a
he does. We've given it before. I'm going to give it again.
You don't need
what is the rhyme?
Kaepernick.
You're rhymed with Great Gatsby in that line, I think. Right? Gatsby and Plaschke, which is pretty creative. We'll move on. Buy or sell three, LeBron's pep talk.
We got Hall of Famers, and some of the best players that ever played a game came off the bench or didn't play. That don't mean you ain't good. There's guys in the NBA that don't play. Does that mean they're not good? They got to the NBA because they were sorry? They're just playing a role. If you don't want to roll, play tennis or play golf. Because then you can do what you want to do, and then you got nobody else to blame because it's only an individual sport. If that's what you want to do, play tennis or play golf. But if you want to play a team sport, there's going to be things that you got to give up to get what you want.
You buy that, Sarah Spain?
I absolutely love this. I think it's a great message for the kids. Your role could be the star. I hope we've all been there at some point. I know I have. But it's still a role, so it's a great message for him to send to kids.
Jackie Mack?
I really love this, LeBron. And you know what? He was just fiery enough, didn't overdo it. If these young kids had LeBron James' son on their team, of course they want to hear from him. He did it in the best possible way. I think this is a big thumbs up for LeBron.
I love this. What we tell our children tells everyone about who we are. This is who he is. I loved hearing this. I want to run through a wall for this guy.
Woody Page.
And I'm buying it. I think we all have to realize we're role players. Isn't that true? Sarah, Jackie, and Bill. You're role players.
Yeah, because we all take cues from the chalkboard, who's the star of the show. Let's say goodbye to Woody Page and that chalkboard for today.
Don't inflate your own ego, Woody.
And Sarah Spade. Plasky McMullen showdown next. Bill, Jackie, showdown, good luck. Quote, cheap shots will be handled accordingly. Terrell Pryor, current Jet, former Washington, as the two teams set to join practice. Over under 2 fights, Bill.
Well, before this story broke, over, but now under, there's no way. These guys are all yapping about it. There's no way they're going to allow any fights. Their officials will be all over the place on those fields. I don't care how hot and tired the players will be. They'll get between.
I'm with you, Bill. I'm with you on under. But let's do the over-under on amount of those flags with direct helmets to the head. I'm going to say that's over. I'm going to say about 4 or 5 of those penalties.
That's a great answer, but that's not the question, Jackie.
Well, thanks for being the host.
Art Bill Plasky? What's going on here? Jackie Mack. Showdown 2. Grade Mike Franco's walk-off. Jackie Mack, floor is yours.
Oh, I love this walk-off so much. You know why? Because he's like, come on. He's coaxing the ball over the thing. He looks at the bat and says, hey, next time, man, will you make sure it gets over? Don't annoy me like that. Look at him. Come on, baby, bring it over.
No, I loved it. I graded an A+ because it also included the helmet flip. He lost his helmet. That's the most fun thing to see him running around the bases without a helmet on. That was great. More players should do that. Get rid of the bat and the helmet.
Yeah, you're envious of what he's sporting under that helmet. That head of hair is amazing.
Awesome.
You narked earlier in the segment, Plasky. You're not getting a FaceTime. Go ahead, Jackie.
Thank you very much, Tony. Well, I will be going to my hometown of Westwood, Massachusetts tomorrow, Westwood, home of the champions, for our 40th high school reunion. I'm looking forward to seeing so many of you.
40,
Sandy Friedel, wow. I called you. Your number no longer works. Madeline McCoy, my old teammate, I'm sorry you won't be there with us. But those of you who will be there, I'm so excited to see you, but I have 3 requests. Number 1, I don't have any Patriots tickets. Number 2, I really can't get your son or daughter an internship. And number 3, don't ask me what Woody Page is really like. I haven't seen the guy in 3 calendar years except for in this little box.
There you go, Jackie. Congrats. 40th. How are you 40-year anniversary when you're only
Woody, as your date.
3 years older than that?
There you go. Problem solved.
There you go. You all know.